Division. UFC Fight Night Namajunas versus Cortez ended yesterday, and I've already done all of the matchmaking live right after the fights were over yesterday, but I wanted people to comment their thoughts and everything before I made this video right now, and I wanted a day to digest it and feel if maybe there were some other matchups I'd like to make instead. But it was a decent card. He had some kind of standout performances by Jean Silva. Not really Gabriel Bonfim. By Juliana Rosa, I would definitely say Charles Johnson, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Montel Jackson, and Luana Santos. Evan Elder, almost a solid win as well. But a few other good wins on this UFC Denver card. But we're going to start it with that Evan Elder fight. Had a win over Darius Flowers. I believe he is 2-2 in the UFC now. Yes, he is. On a 2-fight win streak. Only lost up a weight class on short notice to Preston Parsons in his debut. And then a Nazim Sadikov in a fight on the scorecards he was actually winning until that doctor stoppage ended up happening. So there's a world out there where possibly he could be 3-1. And if he didn't take that short notice up a weight class fight against a natural welterweight, he could be 3-0 in the UFC. So he's a very good guy. And I would like to put him against Nicholas Mota next in the UFC lightweight division. He's 2-2 in the UFC. I like to see what Nicholas Mota is inside of the UFC octagon. Mota Tapology, because I believe he's coming off that weird no contest situation with Trey Ogden, and then had the knockout win before that. Or no, that was before the Tom Nolan one. I thought they were switched. Yeah, the weird Trey Ogden one, and then he knocked out Tom Nolan. So he's also 2-2 in the UFC. He's Killer B Kill, 2 round 1 knockout wins, and 2 knockout losses in round 2, round 3. So I believe this would be an incredibly exciting fight. Either way the fight goes. Win or lose for Nicholas Mota, win or lose for Evan Elder, that's a fun fight you could put. Like I said, on the prelims of a pay-per-view, you could put it as the second fight of the early prelims on UFC 309. It doesn't matter where you put this fight, when you put the fight, it's a good fight. Let's do Evan Elder versus Nicholas Mota. Next one we had is Andre Petroski, kind of out wrestling, grappling, and grinding a good decision win to get him back in the win column. Remember, he is on a 2-fight losing streak. 2 good guys for sure, like Michel Pereira and Jacob Malkoun. His only losses in the UFC actually, and now he's 6-2 in the UFC. That's still obviously a very, very good record to have in the promotion, so we want to still be keeping them with the good guys, because losing to Michel Pereira and Jacob Malkoun, they're on that upper echelon of the middleweight contenders. Obviously, Michel is now ranked, and then Jacob Malkoun is kind of right outside of that top 15. And it was a weird one with the hip thing and all that. And I think both Brad Tavares and Junyon Park are going to be in similar positions to where Andre was when he was on that 2-fight losing streak. And they're both good tests for Andre and honestly good fights. They both have solid takedown defense. Brad definitely does. Junyon Park is known for his wrestling and grappling. So Junyon Park versus Andre is definitely a very, very fun fight. And Brad, that'd be a good test for Andre as well in the UFC's middleweight division. So it's a very good fight, and it makes sense ranking-wise for outside of the UFC. Again, he's still 6-2. I think, again, I don't want to go through a rabbit hole and make this video super, super long, but I do believe Junyon Park also has a pretty similar record. 7-3 inside of the UFC, so pretty similar as well to Andre Petroski, and then, of course, if we can find him, Brad Tavares in the UFC is 15-9, so similar records, obviously not in the amount of fights they have. Obviously, Brad's a veteran, but would make sense ranking-wise as well. The next one we're going to go to is Luana Santos. Impressive submission win on Maria Agapova. I think Maria should probably be released. That's 3 losses in a row. She's only, 2-4 in the UFC, whereas Luana Santos is doing really, really good. 3-0 in the UFC octagon, knocking out Juliana Miller, going up a weight class to beat Stephanie Egger. Sorry, I have a little hiccup there. But Stephanie, if you don't know, beat Aylin Perez. And I don't want to go towards all the MMA math and things like that, but she beat Stephanie Egger, who beat Aylin Perez, who's 3-0 after that fight. So she got good wins. I mean, Juliana Miller, to knock her out is very impressive. To beat Stephanie Egger, who has a most recent win over Aylin Perez, very impressive as well. And then to easily dominate Maria Agapova. I mean, she's doing very, very good in this women's flyweight division. She did say she wanted a break. I released on my I believe, Bird MMA 3 account that she wanted to fight in November or December. I think that's fine for this opponent. I mean, I didn't know she wanted to fight that late when I made this opponent here. But it still makes sense. Marina isn't necessarily like super active, so I'm sure she'd be fine waiting for like a UFC 309 pay-per-view or just a November, December UFC fight night, and you can put it on the second to last fight on the prelims. I think with one more win for Luana, I would consider putting her on the main card for sure. And Marina Moroz, previous top 15 woman, I think she lost to Jennifer Maia. And then like two others, Karine Silva, Jennifer Maia, and then I'm forgetting who the other one was. But Marina Moroz, she's at that number 25 spot on Tapology. Lost to Jennifer Maia, Karine Silva, like I said. Joanne Wood, that's the one I was forgetting. But she has wins over Mayra Bueno Silva. Very, very impressive. Sabina Mazo, Maria Agapova. So I would say her 3 losses in a row put her kind of still above Luana Santos in the rankings, but it'd be a good jump up for Luana Santos to have, because if she beats Marina Moroz, like we've seen, Jennifer Maia, ranked, Karine Silva got a ranked opportunity and is in the top 15 now, and Joanne Wood, she retired after that fight, but I think she could have got a top 15 fight as well. So if she's able to get a win here against Marina Moroz, I think that kind of serves as a very good argument for her to be like, you know, now I would like to fight Tracy Cortez. I think that makes sense, like based on the trajectories and everything, that she get a top 15 win or fight if she's able to get the win against Marina Moroz. I think that just makes sense ranking-wise. And it's not that bad of a fight either. They're both grapplers, and Luana's a better striker, so good matchup for her as well if you want to build her as a prospect. The next one is Montel Jackson. Dude, so fast. 18-second knockout win over Damone Blackshear. He's got 8 wins by knockout as an MMA fighter. He's on a 5 fight win streak, 3 by knockout, and I believe has gotten knockdowns in all of these fights, which is just incredible. I think he has the record for most knockdowns in bantamweight history, and the second fastest finish now in the bantamweight history. He is, what is the record in the UFC? 8-2 is really, really incredible. Only losing to Ricky Simon, who's in the top 15 at one point, and then Brett Johns as well. I would love to see him in the top 15. He's ranked 20th on Tapology, which again doesn't mean anything. It's Tapology. You could do like a Ricky Simon. I was thinking maybe a Chris Gutierrez. I've already previously matched up Pedro Munoz with a few other guys on the regional scene, like Daniel Marcos, like Aman Sahabi. I believe those guys can get the Pedro Munoz test. But Jonathan Martinez, he was looking really, really good, beating a lot of unranked guys. Then he fought a ranked guy and he lost. And I know Adrian Yanez, when he fought him, was ranked, but he's not anymore. I'd like to see Jonathan Martinez get another test to just see, because, I mean, the guys outside of this stacked UFC bantamweight division, it's such a stacked division. To have Jonathan Martinez at 14 is insane, showing you how good this weight class is. I just like to kind of feed those up-and-coming bantamweight contenders in. Just to see, because Jonathan, if he loses to Montel, he's not worth it to be in the top 15, and Montel deserves a shot after 5 wins, in my opinion. So, I love to see, I mean, obviously, Mario Batista's at number 12. I don't really see why he should be at number 12, to be honest. He beat Ricky Simon, who Vinicius Oliveira beat more impressively, in my opinion, so maybe Vinicius should be at 12. That's just how stacked the weight class is. So, Montel versus Jonathan Martinez, I believe I put it as a fight night. I think I messed up on the post. I wanted it on a fight night main card. I wanted it to open up the UFC fight night. First fight on a crowded UFC fight night. Maybe the rumored Tampa card later this year, or something like that. Wherever there's a card that's crowded, I love this on the main card. It's such an exciting fight. Obviously, Jonathan's known for his leg kicks, so he can obviously attack there on the taller opponent. Because when they're at range, I mean, going in with punches is obviously dangerous when you got a power puncher like Montel who can crack you and use his reach. You're going to want more of a kicker if you're going to try to beat Montel Jackson. So I think stylistically this should make for a fun striking matchup, and I like it at 135 pounds. Jasmine Jasudavicius, we're going to check the rankings. She's still at 15, I believe, in the women's flyweight division. I was kind of thinking maybe she should be a little bit above that. She had a close fight with Tracy Cortez. I personally, once these rankings do get updated, I'd at least put her above Casey O'Neill, maybe above Ariane De Silva as well, and then just keep her right there. But I think she does definitely deserve like a Viviane Araújo type. She's on how many wins in a row? It might just be the 2 wins in a row, but they're both really, really impressive wins. Obviously she's beaten Moran the Maverick, which is a super legit win. Knocked out, submitted Priscilla Cachoeira. I keep thinking she knocked her out because she just landed so many punches and ground and pound in that fight. And then she obviously did very, very well in beating Fatima Klein as well. Has only lost to number 10, and then what is Natalia Silva at? She is number 8. So number 11 is now Tracy Cortez. But 2 wins in a row. Tracy's coming off a loss. You're not going to want to do the rematch that soon. They were trying to do the Viviane Araújo fight originally. Maybe they could do Amanda Ribas, Jasmine Jasudavicius on the main card of a fight night. I still like the Viviane Araújo matchup, if I'm being just straight up honest here. I like the matchup. And I think it makes for a fun fight in the women's flyweight division. Put it on the fight night main card as the second fight of a UFC fight night main card. I mean, if you want a female fighter that's exciting and that you actually are looking forward to watch fight, Jasmine is definitely that girl. And I think Viviane could bring a fun fight out of that. The next one we have is at flyweight, and it's Sumudaerji and Charles Johnson. The reason here, and I know people are going to get at me in the comments here, he got a knockout win on Josh Van, a guy that's been doing just so good in the UFC. 3-0 in the UFC, beat Jalgas, beat Kevin Borges, then knocked out Felipe Bunes. So many people were high on him. He was supposed to get a top 15 shot against Tyra, against Tagir Lambekov. He was supposed to fight Sumudaerji himself. So many good fights were supposed to be made, and then, dude, Charles just runs out the hype right there and knocks him out with his cardio and puts on that pressure in round 3. Obviously an amazing win, but it's 3 wins in a row when he was on a 3-fight losing streak before that. So that's the only reason is these 3 losses right here is why I'm not like putting my matchmaking as giving him a top 15 shot, is because looking at the rankings, there's more guys deserving than Charles. And I know Charles, in like any other weight class, could probably deserve that shot in the top 15, but there's a lot of dudes that he's lost to, like Cody Durden, like Rafael Estevam, and then a few others that I'm going to name in a second that I believe would deserve the top 15 shot a little bit more. Let's check out those UFC rankings, and I'm not going to leave this video without mentioning he won against Ode Osbourne. I don't know what they're doing. He should have won against Ode Osbourne. That was kind of a robbery in my opinion. It's just an opinion though. David Dvorak is going to get released by the UFC, so he's not going to be on here in a little bit. He lost to Cody Durden, and he lost to, Mohamed Mokayev, and then he lost to Rafael Estevam. So first option in that I would give a ranking spot before I would give Charles Johnson a ranking spot would be Rafael Estevam, because he's literally coming off a win over him. How long ago was that? And I know he's already had 3 fights in such a short amount of time, in just 8 months. But yeah, 8 months ago, Rafael Estevam was able to beat Charles Johnson. He's dealing through some injuries that he told me about. And he's, when he returns, I mean, he technically deserves a top 15 shot over him because he has a win over him. So that'd be my first thing. Second one I would say would definitely be Alan Nascimento and Jafel Filho winner, is because yes, he lost to Mohamed Mokayev. That's it. That's all in the UFC. Then he got 2 finishes over Ode Osbourne and Daniel Perez. Had a great win on Dana White's Contender Series as well. If he's able to beat Alan Nascimento, I personally would have that pretty even and just a little bit over Charles Johnson in terms of would I give him a top 15 shot. And same for Alan Nascimento. He's only lost to Tagir Lambekov, who's in the top 15, Raulian Paiva, who was also in the top 15 at one point. So it's another one where these guys are only losing to top 15 guys. Charles is also losing to top 15 guys, but he just has that loss with Rafael Estevam. That is just, it's in the back of my head right now. Bruno's getting that shot, and then there's Asu Almabayev as well, who beat Ode Osbourne, who beat Charles Johnson. He beat CJ Vergara, and he beat Jose Johnson. So right now, I think a lot of other weight classes, he could probably get that shot. But in this one, I'd say Rafael Estevam, Asu Almabayev, Jafel Filho, and Alan Nascimento winner. Any one of those type of matchups right there would deserve it before Charles. And that's why I'm saying, I know I've been rambling here, I'm sorry. That's why I'm saying a Sumudaerji matchup would make a little bit more sense. Su is another guy that's kind of only lost to those top 15 guys. I don't know if he's on here still. He might be. But maybe he's not. I don't know. Let's go to here. But yeah, Sumudaerji, if we look at his record, he's coming off 2 losses. 2 ranked guys in Tim Elliott and Matt Schnell in very, very fun fights. He was supposed to fight some of these unranked guys like an Alan Nascimento, like a Joshua Van. So it makes perfect sense that they could match this one up as well. The reason it was canceled, he just withdrew. So I don't know if there's any injury that would kind of prevent him from taking it. But he had 3 wins in a row right there. He was hyped at one point as a very powerful striker and things like that. This would be such a fun fight. And by the time all of these guys get their shots in the top 15, like Rafael Estevam, like Jafel Filio, Alan Nascimento, Asu Almambayev. I believe if Charles is able to beat Sumudaerji in the meantime, before the end of the year, I believe beginning of 2025, we give Charles that top 15 fight. So, yeah, I mean, I was really contemplating, should we give him that shot? And I'm like, not yet, man. Not yet. He lost to Cody Durden pretty dominantly, and Rafael Estevam 8 months ago. 8 months ago. So I know he's been so active, which is why it's only 8 months ago. I know he's on a 3-fight win streak, but yeah, sorry, Charles. I think one more, and I know you're not going to like me about that, but you did mention wanting to fight Tim Elliott or Sumudaerji, so I'd like the Sumudaerji one. Tim Elliott's injured pretty badly, so I wouldn't do that. Cody Brundage, Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. I didn't post it on here just because, I don't know. I just didn't post it, but let's run it back, or let's cut Cody Brundage from the UFC. Let's cut Abdul Razak Al-Hassan from the UFC, because Cody, he's 4-5 and won no contest, and I believe that fight would have kept going. He would have lost that fight, been 4-6, so I'd say probably cut him. Again, one of his wins is the illegal blow to the back of the head, just like this fight as well. So I'd say let's have Cody kind of bring back his record a little bit. He's 10-6 as an MMA fighter. I'd bring his record back up a little bit on the regional scene. If he's able to get like 4 wins, get to 14-6, few finishes, bring him back in. But again, it's either we do Cody and Abdul rematch, or I say we cut both of them, to be honest with you. Abdul, another guy, he was doing pretty good against Cody, I know, but he's 6-6, and he is, 38 years old. So both guys I'd like to see just on the regional scene, main eventing shows and doing great things. Or just rematch them. Winner stays, loser goes. Something like that. But I didn't post about it for some reason. The next one is Julian Erosa, but I put these weirdly. So we're just going to skip and do Julian Erosa and his matchup later. We're going to do Gabriel Bonfim first. You've already seen it. It's Max Griffin in the UFC welterweight division. Gabriel has beaten Trevin Giles. He's beaten Munir Lazez, Trey Waters, and Angelusa. So against UFC caliber guys, UFC fighters, he is 4-1. Officially, it's only 3-1 because Trey was on the Contender Series when they have fought. But I personally think he shouldn't get like a top 15 fight or anyone close to Nicholas Dalby, who was able to beat him by knockout. So I'm not going to go up here and give him a Renat, a Chaos Williams, an Alizu Zaleski dos Santos, a Muslim who's coming off a win. One I was thinking about was Gunnar Nelson, because his only wins recently were the Brian Barberina and Takashi Sato ones. He's only lost to those ranked guys, so I was thinking and really contemplating doing Gunnar Nelson versus Gabriel Bonfim. I thought that'd be a lot of fun, but I can't trust putting him in my post when I don't know when the heck this dude's going to fight. He's so inconsistent when we know he's going to fight. And Max, he's only lost to ranked Neil Magny, which a lot of people thought he won when he was coming off a big win streak. And then a Michael Morales, who's about to fight in the top 15. So Max is right outside that top 15. Gabriel is close as well. They're in a similar range. Max is looking to build back his record a little bit after losing to Michael Morales. I'm not doing a Jake Matthews one. Carlson Harris, a lot of people I saw doing that one. I like Gabriel Max Griffin. Max does have solid takedown defense, and I think good striking would be had there. So Gabriel Max Griffin, I think it's a lot of fun, in my opinion. And like I said, Fight Night main card, literally any of them. I mean, it makes sense. To open up the Fight Night main card with this, mwah, amazing. I like it. The next one is Julian Erosa, and we do have a UFC 304 fight happening very soon in, where was it, Manchester, right? But they're fighting, Nathaniel Wood is ranked 21st on Tapology, so not that far outside of the top 15, and a guy like Julian Erosa would deserve this 100% because on the one hand, he has wins over Sean Woodson, who's at 19. He's got win over 23 Nate Landor. He's got a win over a few other guys near this top of the outside of the rankings kind of scene in the featherweight division. So he doesn't deserve a shot in the rankings, of course, because where did he go? I just saw him. Yeah, he lost to Fernando Padilla and Alex Caceres like a year ago, so I'm not going to give him a top 15 fight. That just would not make sense. But obviously a fight with a guy like Nathaniel Wood or Daniel Pineda would make a lot of sense because Nathaniel's coming off a loss. He's looking to fight these veterans like Daniel Pineda and build back his win streak, which he was on, beating Andre Fili, beating Charles Jourdain, beating Charles Rose, a lot of Charleses for some reason. And he's looking to really come back with a good win against Daniel Pineda a week after Julian Erosa just fought. And I think a win streak of Daniel Pineda, a win streak of Julian Erosa mixed in there, and then maybe one more against like a Super City Yusuf, boom, Nathaniel Wood is right back to where he was on that 3-fight win streak and looking for a shot on the inside of that top 15. And personally, I think Nathaniel Wood does win this fight, but even if Daniel Pineda wins, I still think it'd be a fun veteran versus veteran matchup between Daniel Pineda and Julian Erosa. Both guys are just really, really fun on the ground with their jiu-jitsu. Obviously, my guy, Daniel Pineda, who's actually one of the coaches of Josh Van, who we talked about earlier, he's got 19 submission wins. He's never won a decision, and he's got 9 knockouts as well. This is just straight fireworks. Daniel Pineda and Juicy J, Julian Erosa. So a veteran matchup would be fun for the fight night main card, for a prelim of a pay-per-view. I don't really care. And then, of course, Nathaniel Wood. Dude, that's a good win to have on Nathaniel Wood's record. Another veteran. I mean, I'd be impressed if he's able to get past Daniel, get past Julian, and win one more, like I said, against like a Sadiq Yusuf. Boom, we're talking top 15 very soon. Next one we're going to go to is João Silva. Never mind. We're going to go co-main event. I screwed these up a little bit, but we're going to go co-main event first in Muslim Salikov. It's not going to happen. I've already confirmed. It's been 20 hours since I posted this, and like right after I posted it, like maybe 10 hours ago, something like that, Kevin Jousset confirmed he already had a fight for UFC Paris. So I love the fight for UFC Paris, a fun striking matchup. Stylistically would be very, very exciting and a good test and a good jump up in competition for Kevin Jousset to have in his hometown, home area. I don't know if it's his hometown, and get really close to that top 15 as well. I like the matchup, but I don't know. They've already booked Kevin Jousset with someone. So this is the only one that I'm like, probably is not going to happen anymore. So let's think of a newer matchup for Muslim Salikov. Who else could we do Muslim Salikov with now that, well, it's not going to be Kevin Jousset? Could be Nicholas Dalby. I like that fight, and that's what I'm going to do. Nicholas Dalby, Muslim Salikov, fight night main card, pay-per-view, prelims. I love it. Next one is John Silva. Finally, we've done it. We've done it, baby. But it's in the featherweight division. Let's go into it really quick. He's 14-2, 27 years old, very, very young. 3-0 in the UFC. All knockouts in round 1, in round 2, in round 3. Over some really good guys like Charles Jourdain and Drew Dober. He did lose a very long time ago to Gabriel Schulp, who I'm wondering, why are you not in the UFC? But he's coming off a loss, so I guess that's why. But he beat John Silva, so dude, give this man his respect. But what I do want to talk about is John Silva, his ranking now in the featherweight division. On Tapology is obviously scuffed. I mean, it's stupid what they're doing with the ranking system on there. But I believe with a win over Drew Dober, with a win over Charles Jourdain is at number 35. So already with that win over Charles Jourdain, it would put him right around that Bill Algeo range. I don't think anyone from here, let's scroll and see if we can find anyone that's better than Drew Dober, or I would value as a win higher than I would Drew Dober. Probably nobody until you get Edson Barboza. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. So Edson Barboza is number 15. We're not like, come on. His win over Drew Dober was like beating Super Sadiq Yusuf. Like Diego Lopez's win over Sadiq Yusuf to get him in the top 15, that was pretty much on the same caliber of win as I would say John Silva. So I would put John Silva literally as the 16th ranked contender in the UFC featherweight division. So then you start to think, who does he fight? Since you've had Edson Barboza, I was thinking that for sure. He's number 15. He doesn't have a fight. The last one was Lerone Murphy, took a lot of damage. He beat Sadiq Yusuf and Billy Quarantillo. Before that, has only lost to ranked guys. And I was thinking, obviously, Edson should fight an unranked guy. And personally, I like to do the Sean Woodson Edson Barboza matchup. So I thought that was out of the equation. I think Dan is going to try to fight at the Sphere. I have a matchup I really like for him after this weekend in Steve Garcia. So I'm not going to do that one. Bryce Mitchell, I've already heard the UFC's in talks for his opponent, so we're not going to do John Silva, Bryce Mitchell, and that's just not stylistically a fun one, in my opinion. I think there's funner matchups you can make for both men. Diego Lopez, obviously that's not going to happen. Lerone Murphy, obviously that's not going to happen. So then we got Giga Chikadze, and I was like, is this too big of a step up? Maybe. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. He's number 10 in the UFC featherweight division. Arnold Allen, he's about to fight him next week. On the main card of UFC 304. And I think Arnold Allen wins, but either way, maybe Arnold Allen loses, I don't care. Either way, they're going to be ranked 8th or 9th in the UFC featherweight division. And beating an unranked guy like that, but like Drew Dober and then like Charles Jourdain, that impressively, I think you deserve it. Because I think Lerone's going to jump even higher than number 9 in Giga Chikadze. Diego Lopez is going to jump even higher than number 9, Giga Chikadze. Bryce Mitchell is probably going to fight an unranked guy. Dane Ige. I would put him against an unranked guy, to be honest with you. I know you guys are like, oh, we should reward him for fighting Diego Lopez on short notice. No, he lost. Let's give him an unranked guy as well. And then lastly, Edson Barboza. I think he should fight an unranked guy as well. But I don't think that's the reward we give for John Silva and doing what he just did. I think you can do a few other matchups instead of that one. So I'd love to see him just really get some preferential treatment here because of how good his performance was, and let's just bump him into that top 10 immediately. See how good John Silva really is. Is the hype there? Are we just maybe he got tailor-made matchups for him? Maybe that's the reason. Let's really test how good he is with a world-class kickboxer in Giga Chikadze. Let's see how good he fares with a guy like Giga Chikadze. I think this is an incredible one. I don't know about you. Giga versus Jean Silva. Arnold Allen versus Jean Silva. Come on. Amazing fights. Last but not least, we're going to get through this pretty fast because I think this is a long video. I'm sorry about that. Is Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield. Main reason, rankings. Let's look to women's flyweight. She's already lost to Manon Fiorot. Valentina versus Alexa Grasso probably. Macy Barber obviously already pulled out against Rose Namajunas. We're not going Rose down the rankings. Andrade already has a fight. We're not doing that. I think they bump her up to number 5 after the ranking update comes out. She can't fight Macy. We do Erin Blanchfield, pay-per-view, main card, second fight of the main card. Makes sense to me. Winner of that one gets the winner of all the madness happening between Manon Fiorot, Shevchenko, and Grasso. Because you could have the Grasso-Shevchenko fight at 306, have Valentina or Grasso versus Manon Fiorot by the end of the year, the beginning of next year, and do Rose Namajunas, Erin Blanchfield at the end of this year, and it would kind of schedule-wise pretty perfectly for Rose to maybe beat Erin Blanchfield and then get a title shot after that, after this whole mess is kind of cleared. So that's my thoughts. Those are my fights to make next. Like and subscribe. Pin comments for the Patreon if you want to support. Yeah, I'm just going to sit here for a little bit. Yeah, subscribe to the, not subscribe, follow to the Instagram. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. We're gonna press this stop recording button. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?